Absolutely. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Terry Loftus. I'm the Donna Wilhelm Family President and Executive Director of TACA, the Arts Community Alliance. It is my great pleasure to welcome you to TACA's Resiliency Workshop on Reigniting Sales. Over the past year, all of you know the economic fallout due to the pandemic has been crippling for the arts and the cultural organizations around the world, and primarily in our neighborhood here in North Texas. There is a light at the end of the tunnel, with an anticipated 98% of organizations in the US planning on live performances by the end of 2021. So there is hope, and we're already seeing evidence of that here in the North Texas and Dallas County area right now. Because of this, TACA's newest resiliency priority is to support organizations in the strategic return of their subscription seasons and programming as they begin to come back. This workshop is the first of a 4-part series that we're presenting with TRG Arts that we're calling the Comeback Collection, that will focus on rebuilding relationships as we emerge from the pandemic. As we begin, I'd like to acknowledge and extend our thanks to the Sapphire Foundation for their support of the series, and to CFT, the Communities Foundation of Texas, for their ongoing support of TACA's capacity building programs. Now, please welcome TACA's Director of Grants and Programming, Mara Scheffler, to kick things off for us this afternoon, and she will also intro our partners for the series from TRG Arts. So Mara, I will throw it over to you.
Thank you, Terry. Thank you to everyone for joining us. It is so great to see your faces. I cannot wait to actually see your faces out at shows as we begin to emerge. We're super excited today to kick off, as Terry said, this 4-part series with TRG Arts. For those of you who don't know TRG is a Colorado Springs-based firm that's an industry leader in arts analytics, loyalty development, and pricing strategies. Some of you may remember and know them as the firm that manages our local community network here in North Texas that used to be called the North Texas Cultural Co-op when it lived under TACA's umbrella. They house and study the largest database of arts consumption data in the world, which is amazing and gives them access to so much knowledge that they can use to help support us as we begin to recover. So TRG reacted super quickly to support the art sector when the pandemic began last March with timely research, tools like their free COVID-19 sector benchmark dashboard, and their regular 30-minute webinar series called the TRG 30, which actually inspired this set of workshops with them. So before I introduce our 2 facilitators, I do have a few housekeeping items. If you have not already, we would love it if you would literally take 1 minute, literally 1 minute, to complete our very brief pre-session survey. It was emailed out yesterday, but Greg's going to drop it into the chat. This is going to help give us a baseline as we start this work together. Also, if you have not already, please be so kind as to add your organization name to your name box on Zoom. That'll help us as we organize our small group sessions for later. Be sure to mute yourself if you aren't already. I think everyone is, but just double check just to ensure the best experience for everyone who's on the line today. If you have questions, Chitra from TRG is our chat guru, so send any questions her way, and I'm sure she'll be sending information to you all that way as well. And also, just to help inform your note-taking, we will be sending out a copy of the slides and a recording of the session. So just know that, so you don't have to furiously write down every single word they say. Okay, now to our 2 facilitators. First, our lead today will be Caitlyn Green. She's based in Pittsburgh. She is a senior consultant at TRG and works with new clients to identify opportunities and partnerships, and has a portfolio of North American clients. Before she joined TRD, she was the marketing and development director for TheaterWorks out in Colorado, and the director of the Galleries of Contemporary Art at the University of Colorado in Colorado Springs. She holds a master's in art history and a master's of public administration in nonprofit management. Our second facilitator, who, as I said, will be our chat go-to and will also be helping facilitate some of our small group work, is Chitra Kalyanderg. She's a Washington, D.C. based consulting analyst for TRG. She uses data to help arts organizations find the results they need to be sustainable and create impact. She was formerly the Director of Engagement and Arts Partnership with Kalandi Dance in DC, where she led the organization's fundraising and communication efforts. She also has worked in education at Arena Stage and as a consultant to the NEA. She's a dancer and choreographer and is committed to raising awareness for Indian classical dance through performance and education. She has a bachelor's in communications from NYU and a master of public policy from the University of Maryland, College Park. Chitra and Caitlyn, please take it away.
Maura, thank you so much. Maura, Greg, Terry, everyone from the TACA team, from the Sapphire Foundation, everyone who made it possible to let us be here today. We're really grateful. And extra huge, most special thanks to those of you who are taking time out of your day to be here with us together. So thanks for all of this. As Maura so expertly said, I'm going to be mostly your facilitator in this conversation today. And there's a fair bit of me talking at the beginning, but I assure you, you won't have to listen to me for the next 80 minutes. So the way we're going to structure this is that I'll do some teaching and talking with some provocation along the way for work that you can be doing as I'm talking. And then we'll get into small groups to really talk about how we put things into action. So you'll get time with each other. And then at the end, of course, we'll have some time for questions for the large group. I talk quickly and I have a lot I want to share. So this now is my invitation to you to just take yourselves off mute. If at any point you have a question about what I've just said, if you didn't understand something, you need clarification, we're in a meeting for a reason and not a webinar. And it's so we can have that interaction. So pretend like we're all in a space together. You don't have to raise your hand, just take yourself off mute and say, Caitlyn, stop. I have a really important question. Your colleagues will absolutely thank you for it. I think that's all I have before I'm just going to get us in. Chitra, is there anything else you would say before I get us going?
No, the only thing, well, hello everyone. The only thing I would say is that sometimes taking yourself off mute and vocalizing a question is not the way that we think. So if you would rather type it into the chat, that's why I'm here. So drop in questions or comments throughout. And I will field them and insert them when appropriate. And so we'll try and get to all of those.
Great. Thank you, Chitra. All right, everyone, let's go. We are here in part one of our 4-part series, and we're talking about reigniting sales. This is exciting. We get to reignite sales. What you should know from TRG and from me is that we'll get enthusiasm today. We're excited. God, we're excited to be back in person. We also hope to come in here and provoke, because our role and our position in and throughout this pandemic has been, we've got to change some things. So know that today, next 3 sessions, we're not saying let's go back to normal. We will go back to something that's better. And we want to take steps now to get us into some different frameworks and ways of thinking. For us, those almost always center the relationships that we have with our audiences. Whether they're high-level donors, first-time ticket buyers, people from your immediate neighborhood, or those traveling in from around the country, we are really centered on the relationships that we create. So that's what you're going to hear from us today. I would also encourage you to listen for a few things during this session. Sometimes I think it's helpful to know at the front what we hope you might be able to walk away with this, carrying forward. So I want you to think about where you can change. Where do you need new approaches in your sales campaigns to see new, different, or better results? How are you collaborating with colleagues in marketing, development, front of house, back office? There are board members here today. How are you collaborating across the departments and structures in your organization to be the smartest learners, teachers, and implementers you possibly can be? And last, let's make some action. We love thinking, we love strategy. We can talk about it for a long time, but nothing happens if we don't get out there and do something. So think about what action you can take from today, or what the next step is before you can take action to make change happen and see results. We're always geared toward results, whatever those goals are for you. Okay, earlier today, Greg sent you a survey and many of you kindly responded. For those of you that haven't, please still do, because we will update this for future sessions. But I want to look at the shared results for 3 of those questions. The first said, how well do you collaborate? You just heard me say collaboration is really critical. 50% of those of you who responded gave this an 8, 9, or a 10, saying we are good, strong collaborators at our organization. Everyone here was above a 5. So you're coming into this with some confidence or position, and yet for almost all of you, there's room to grow. So I want you to embrace the great parts of what you're doing here, and maybe some of our provocations will help you think about new steps you can take in collaboration. We also asked about organizational alignment around your next campaign's goals. It's a bit more mixed. So you can see that the responses go down further. We've got some people in 3s and 4s about organizational alignment, but overall, 60% of you are 8, 9s, or 10s. You're saying, yes, we are pretty aligned. Then we asked this question: how confident are you about your next campaign? 25% are in those same top 3. So this is a place where we've got work to do, and I can understand all the reasons why you might not be confident. Are we performing outside, and how's the weather? When can we reopen? Are we reopening to full capacity? Might there be yet again another surge, different something outside force that changes your ability to make happen the things you hope to? Our goals in these sessions are to regularly move each of these 3 data points along and up the spectrum. So expect that we will ask you this again, and we're going to reflect on it at the end. Were we able to help bring everyone along so that there's more people saying 8, 9, or 10? Okay, in-person is back, folks. You heard Terry say this: 98% of US organizations are planning to serve a live audience in 2021. We couldn't be more happy about it. This is what we're all meant to do. We are people meant to bring people together, to share experiences, ideas, perspectives, and we can't wait for that thriving, live, energetic feeling of being shoulder to shoulder in galleries or venues to become quotidian once again. Let's not have this be the anomaly. Like, let's get back into it. We're ready. And it means we need a serious focus on reigniting robust sales. Now, you have probably already started some of this work or are gearing up for it, but it's a shift organizationally from a lot of the work that many of you have likely been doing over the last year, where we've been in stewardship mode, in crisis management mode, maybe in hibernation. And we've got to come back out and in front of our audiences in really thoughtful, smart, productive, efficient, and revenue generating ways for most of you. So today, I'm offering a 4-step process to think about your campaigns. Here are 4 steps. They're probably different than other steps that you've seen before. What you don't see on here is timing. We're not talking directly about marketing channels. We're zooming way out for a minute to talk about people. And so here's where we start. We start with your segmentation, and then we're going to borrow from design thinking and begin our work against these segments with empathy. We're going to talk about the necessity for simplicity always in your work, but particularly coming back for the first time after this pandemic. We've got to make this easy for folks. And then lastly, we're going to experiment. You heard Maura say it, you heard Chitra say it, or you heard Maura say it about Chitra. We're data people. We like to understand what progress looks like from a data-driven perspective. There's a lot of different data that we want to track, can track, do track. But you've got to make a plan for how you can know if you're being successful beyond, did we sell any tickets? Did we make any revenue? What's our bottom line or top line revenue looking like? We want to go beyond that. So these are our 4 steps. Okay, let's dive into the first, segmentation. But it's not really segmentation, it's new segmentation. Many of you have probably done some level of segmentation in the past. Maybe you're talking to donors differently than subscribers, subscribers differently than single ticket buyers. Maybe you have really nuanced segmentation where you're looking at first-time single ticket buyers differently from repeat, or 6-show subscribers differently from 3-show, multi-admission buyers to your museum differently from your sustaining members. There are a lot of ways you're probably doing this, and a lot of those are probably great. And we have new segments that we have to think about this year. And in that have to think about, we actually have tremendous opportunity to build stronger relationships. So it is more. There's no way that it's not going to be more. It's another thing we do at TRG. It's more. We want to expand. We want to be more detailed. So it's more, but it's more with the goal of deepening relationships and ensuring that we're serving those that we already know are really close to our organization. Okay, so let's talk about what they could look like. Here is a list of some segments that your organization may have or should consider. You may have had a huge influx of patrons whose first engagement with your organization was a donation in the last year. That's not normal. That is not normally where people start a relationship with you, is in donation. But crisis created a different kind of volume in these transactions. Now, maybe you have stewarded these gifts beautifully, maybe you haven't yet, but this is a group that needs a different kind of offer and attention. We might have subscribers with money on account. You subscribed, we canceled half the shows. You subscribed, we canceled the whole season. And you've got buckets of money that are sitting here from very loyal buyers that we need to think about. You might have first-time subscribers that have never even had an experience with you as a subscriber, even though they bought a subscription over a year ago. How are we thinking about these transactional relationships that are different from before? Members who never got to realize any of their benefits in the year that their contribution came in. Single ticket buyers who donated ticket investments. Folks, that doesn't happen really any other time in the history of the data that we study. Do single ticket buyers often convert their investment into a donation? This year they did. You might have new sustaining members, new major donors that came in to support your organization in a time of crisis. And what else? There are other ways to segment beyond transaction that might be really relevant to your organization. Maybe you were opening a new venue that has you in a different neighborhood. Man, there are people you need to reach out to there. Maybe you have moved your operations outside for the last year. What has that created in terms of proximity for those that you serve? What do you know about your own audiences because of surveys that you've sent out? Do they want to come back? Are they excited to come back? Are they terrified about coming back to a live sold out hall? And maybe there are generational differences that you know about in your organization. Does your audience, who you know better than I ever will, have other ways that we need to be thinking about them specifically? New segmentation says we've got to think about segments that we never had volume in before because we never had a pandemic before. And man, let's hope we don't again, but we've got it. So let's make sure we're responding to it as thoughtfully as we can. And of course, you'll see this in every step, collaboration is required. So marketing directors, if you're sitting out there, you've got an idea about some segments you have. But before you finalize that for your communications plan, talk to development, talk to box office and education, talk to your outreach team. Make sure you know organizationally who are the new groups that we need to be able to serve as we move forward. So I would suggest you have a meeting. Have a meeting where everybody brings some of these key segments in their area. And then you start to hash out together where there's priority and where there's overlap. This is one of those action items that you could move forward with. How do we know that we've got all the right people in new buckets? You might also realize from things you've learned or heard from your audiences over the last year that we need to treat them differently. Have donors stopped opening your emails? Maybe stop emailing them. We're going to need to try a different tactic, but who's the person that knows that? Is education landing better right now with single ticket buyers than offers for free content online? Man, we got to know that. Let's lead with education if that's the case. So this is why you need multiple stakeholders around the table, because that's where you're going to be able to know if we've really categorized our segmentation in the right way. So right now, we're in this, grab a pen and a piece of paper, jot it down in chat, wherever you want to put it. Think about 3 key segments in your organization that are new this year. So this doesn't mean you have renewing subscribers, but you might have renewing subscribers with money on account. You might have renewing subscribers who don't have money on account. But I want you to focus on ones that have real volume. Segmentation can get pretty messy if all of a sudden you've got a list that has 4 people on it. You know, it gets really complicated really quickly. So pull up and make sure that you know there's volume there. And honestly, right now, that there's revenue at stake, because this is a place where we really need to focus our efforts in the short term. Okay, you're writing this down. If you want to drop them in chat so your colleagues can see them, do it. If you have questions and you want Chithra to give you advice on what that's looking like, put that in chat as well. But I'm going to keep us going with step 2, empathy. This is the design thinking framework. If you've participated in this before, I've done it with arts organizations, but certainly for startups, for widget makers and tech companies, this is a thing. This is a process, and it is a rigorous one to go through. And every time, regardless of the widget, the tech, the software, the app, it starts with empathy. We've got to empathize with our audience to make sure that we're putting them, our end user, at the center of our experiment, our campaign, our messaging, our product. So let's start with empathy here. What does your audience need? Stepping into their shoes, we would do this very sort of methodically, and yet it's an important step. So first we do this. We write down a list of realities and values for each segment. Now, when you do this outside of this time together, because there's no way you can get through all of it in a group session like this, you want to take into account those new segments that you've just identified. But there are likely vestigial segments that are really important to do this exercise with as well, because so much has changed in that relationship, even if they're as close to you as ever. This is a different world, and so we need to be able to acknowledge it. You want to write down realities and values for each segment to make sure that you are identifying the problem that you can solve for that patron or the opportunity that you create for them. It's not about us saying we want our donors to give more. It's about us saying our donors need to know that we have stewarded their investment really thoughtfully. Our donors need to know we made good on our promise to them in the appeal that they said yes to, right? It's about what they need, not what we need in this moment. I'm just reiterating this, it's each segment. You can't do it for the whole thing at once. It doesn't mean that you don't have the same answers sometimes, but you've got to go through the process of looking at every segment that's critical in your database and in this upcoming sales campaign to make sure that the way you're approaching them is consistent with what they need. And then you put down the offer or message that they need next. What do they need to hear from you? What is your step for them as we go through this? Collaboration is required here too, most critically, in fact, here, because here I'm asking you to empathize with people that you're not. You are not all of the people that you seek to serve or that you've identified in your segmentation. So bring your colleagues in to say, did I get this right? Box office, what are you hearing? Is this consistent with what we need here? Board member, am I thinking right about what we need from major donors? What are you hearing at the board level that we need to be able to talk about? Make sure you've got the right people around the table to gut check and challenge the assumptions that you're making. Empathy is a great exercise, but part of it comes with some humility to say, here's what I think I know, but now I want to get more perspectives around the table to make sure that what I think I know is going to resonate with the audience that I'm seeking to serve here. Okay, so let's do this. You wrote down, hopefully, a couple of new segments. Write down what one of them needs, just one. They might need to know that they're going to be safe in your venue. They might need to know that they might need to be stewarded. They might need to be listened to. They need to feel heard. They need to feel included, invited, they need to feel like financially they have any clue as to what they owe you or what they've already given you. So you will figure out what that is based on what you've got. It might be emotional, it might be transactional, but it's going to relate directly to the segment that you have there. And then make your plan for gut checking it. Who are you going to call? Who is going to be around the table with you to say, yes, Maura got it right. This is exactly what we're looking for in this moment. Or, Maura is going to sit down at the table and Greg's going to say, Maura, this is not at all what I'm hearing in the box office. This is how we need to be approaching this particular segment. It's all about learning, and we have to be really collaborative and thoughtful going into it. All right, the third step, simplicity. I have an art history degree, and so I'm just going to take you down an art historical path for just a moment because I think this example really resonates. This is not really, because there's not a picture of it, but this is going to represent Giotto's O. Giotto was a Renaissance artist who was commissioned by the Vatican to do some work. So the Pope sent his person, a messenger, to Giotto's studio, and he said, Giotto, the Pope would like me to bring back some examples of your masterworks so that he can decide if in fact you will move forward with this commission. Giotto said, forget it. I'm not giving you my masterpieces. And he takes out a piece of papyrus or the like, and he draws a perfect circle by hand in the moment and hands it back to the messenger and said, take it to the Pope. If he recognizes how hard this was and he will see my skill in it, and I'll get the deal. The messenger was not thrilled about this, having clearly not brought back what the Pope asked for. He takes it to the Pope. The Pope totally gets it. Giotto does the work. The thing here is that we don't have to show everyone everything you are capable of or can do. We don't need to give them all of the options. We need to give them a very clear, very simple, very direct example, offer, opportunity that makes it impossible not to say yes. Now there's data behind this too, so you don't have to trust art history. You can trust current data. This comes from Matthew Dixon and a series of his group of colleagues who put together quite an intensive research experiment and published it in The Effortless Experience. So they're measuring customer effort scores. This is quite different than the Net Promoter Score or other things like that that you've seen, although the work really builds on the Net Promoter System and score if you're familiar with that. But what they're looking at is how hard was it to engage? Did you have to exert a tremendous amount of effort with this organization, company, product to be able to get to the end experience? And here's what they found. 1%, this is teeny tiny percentage of customers with a low effort experience, that's good, right? We want low effort experiences, say that they'll spread negative information, 1%. 81% of customers who said it was hard will spread negative information about their experience. 94%, big number, 94% of low effort experiences result in a repurchase. If you make it easy, they'll come back. Only 4% of customers who said it was hard are willing to come back through the process. 3% of customers who reported low effort were detractors. Again, language from the Net Promoter System, detractors bad. They're going out there and actively telling people not to support your organization or product. 3% really low who said it was a low effort experience, say bad things. 82% of people who had a high effort experience will intentionally go out and say terrible things about your organization. This is super important, folks. Making it easy is in the data, and it directly translates into loyalty and repeat behavior and positive experiences. So here's how you can think about simplicity. The number of choices that you are presenting to your subscribers after you canceled seasons. Are you giving them 15 choices? You can leave your money on account, you can donate it, you can keep it, you can do this subscription, you could do this subscription, you could apply it to a camp. You could also do XYZ and go to London with us. I don't know, it's so much. It's so many things to choose from. How many options are you putting in front of people? 2, 3, maybe there's 3. There's always a donate option. It's 2 and donate, right? Do you want your subscription to do this? Do you want your subscription to do this? That's all we really need to put in front of people. Your turnaround time. So you've sent a survey out to see what your subscribers are going to do. You've asked them to submit something on your website or turn around a form to you. How long does it take for you to close the loop with them? Just the other day, I was on a call with a client that said it takes us 2 weeks just to process a new membership in our system, which means it can be up to 3 weeks before a person gets their cards in the mail or any acknowledgement of their gift. That's not cool. We can't wait 3 weeks. Everyone is waiting for nobody waits for content. They're on their phones, they're looking at Netflix. There's no patience or tolerance for it right now. Embrace that. Make sure that your turnaround time is fast and that you're ready for it. How many clicks does it take to complete a purchase on your website? I mean, seriously, if you don't know if you know your websites, but for people who don't know your websites, how easy is it to navigate and get to that final, yes, pay, confirm my purchase button? Count them. Make sure you're comfortable with how many are there. Make sure it's really intuitive. Don't ask your colleague to do that for you. They all know your website too. Ask your aunt to do it. Ask your neighbor who's never been to your organization to go to the website and try and buy a ticket. You are about to go back to subscribers who've got money on account, who need to do new things. Maybe you've changed your season again and they owe you money. You owe them money. It's complicated. How hard is it for them to talk to a human when they call? People like talking to humans. People have been alone for the last year. You are someone that represents something they love. They'll be eager to talk to you, but can you answer the phone? If you can't, use a scheduling service. I have tons of clients who are doing this right now, using Calendly or BookMe or whatever all of these online things are to very clearly manage expectations about when they'll be on the phone with a human. We want people to know when they're going to talk to you. And last, not last, but the last on my list, there are probably a million other things that you could all think about right now where simplicity is required. But last on my list is this. We need really clear, easy to understand, friendly, compassionate expectations set for what their in-person experience will be. Check your tone and language in this. I bet you all have something on your website in the T's and C's of your ticket confirmations, in your pre-show emails. Do you have a list of 32 don'ts or musts or have tos? Or is your language inviting to say, we're thinking about you and here are the ways that we can keep you and all of our patrons safe as we come back to live experiences. Even if it's not about COVID, if that's not a problem or things that you are having to mitigate against here, how are we talking to patrons about what their in-person experience will be? We can't have a lot of rules. Get rid of any policies that make it hard for people to make changes, anything that feels alienating or like we're giving people a checklist of do's and don'ts. We want this to feel like an invitation. Okay, I kind of said already what some collaboration in this should be, but we want to make sure that we are creating systems and processes that support the customer experience first and are not built with the back end experience as priority. An example, this is another client and they've got a whole lot of subscription dollars that have been sitting there a long time. They're a Tessitura client. In Tessitura, the cleanest way for them to do this was to just cancel one whole season, put all the money on account, and then create a new season. What this meant is that they were going to ask every single subscriber to log into Tessitura, go through an entirely new transaction to use the money that they already gave you for this season. We can't do that, right? That's not making it simple for our patrons, but it was perfect on the back end. We need this to be perfect on the front end. Back end has to be able to manage it. I'm not suggesting you tie yourselves in knots because that never serves anyone, but make sure the front end experience is really good. So yes, ask your aunt, your neighbor, your kid's softball coach, whoever you have that's got a minute to go through your website and buy a ticket, make sure they know what they're looking at here. Okay, on your list of things you're writing down, where can you reduce effort, right? Low effort, really good. High effort, things we want to avoid. Where can you reduce effort and bolster simplicity in your campaign or in your technology, your sales process? You know where people are getting hinked up. Do you have dozens of choices for your patrons? Stop that. Focus on a few. Is it really hard to talk to a human when they call? Are people waiting online forever? Do you have tons of voicemails every morning? Does it take 32 clicks before you can buy a ticket? Here are some, you know what others are. Where can you reduce effort and bolster simplicity? This is all about improvement. A lot of what you do is probably great, but we want to make it better. So where can you take that notch? Like we would just want to go from 10 to 11, make it even better. We're ending here with these adorable children at science class to talk about experimentation. Experimentation, data, analysis, measurement, it doesn't sound like fun or sexy. It sounds like the thing you have to do or that somebody's making you do to be able to get through it. We love it here. And the reason why we love it is because to us and for you, your campaigns are absolutely laboratories for experimentation. You are testing things all the time. We're asking you to bring formality into that test to say, here's our hypothesis, our goal, right? That's essentially what your goal is. Here's our hypothesis about what this is going to do. And then you start doing things. And then you test it to say, was our hypothesis right? Are people responding the way we thought they would, when we thought they would? And if you do that throughout your campaign, then you get to tweak things and say, well, that didn't work. So let's stop doing that and change it. This allows for agility. Bringing formal experimentation, analysis, and data into your campaign allows you to be agile and make different decisions and change things. So we talk about this as test and learn. My colleague Rebecca says it's a noun. It's not really a noun, maybe it is a noun, but we think about it as this like formal, proper thing, testing and learning as a way to engage regularly in your campaigns and communications. So here are things you might test. Options. What are people saying yes to? If you've put 2 or 3 options in front of all of your subscribers and nobody picks one of them, take it off the list. Move forward in the next phase of your campaign without the thing that nobody wants. That's really easy, smart learning. The timing. Folks, I don't know when people are going to say yes. I know when some people say they might say yes, but intention and action are different. I don't know exactly when audiences are coming back. I can tell you that clients that we have who are on sale now with subscriptions are pacing ahead. I don't know if they'll stay ahead. I don't know when they'll meet their goal. I know there's some enthusiasm from some patrons to come back, but you've got to be super thoughtful about your timing and give yourself enough time to be able to test things if the first phase of your campaign doesn't land right. If you didn't see that huge spike in sales when your postcard drops 6 months out, you better have time to do another postcard 3 months out. Or 2 months out. I don't know what your campaign cycles are, but you get the point here, right? That we've got to be iterative in our approach because there's so much we don't know about our patrons this year. Speaking of postcards and things you print, let's talk about collateral. Don't print 1,000, 10,000, 1 million copies of a brochure that has a very short lifespan in this year. Now, we would say don't do that in any year, but many of you have had really successful campaigns doing that in the past. This year is not the year to make a huge investment in a printed piece that can't be changed. Because what happens if you send that brochure out and you learn this didn't meet our audiences where they were, and now you're stuck with another 50,000 copies of it that you can't use because the messaging wasn't right. Think small runs, small pieces. We like cheap and cheerful. Cheap and cheerful. Don't spend a lot of money on the actual piece. Keep that really cheap. Keep it cheerful and happy and simple, and make it something that is iterative or change, or that you can change as you move forward in this. Our last piece here is listening. Greg and Maura told you that after your session today that we'll be collecting feedback. We love to listen. We love feedback. We learn from it. I told you we like living in the laboratory of learning. Listening to your patrons is a very quick way to measure the effectiveness of your campaign and your messaging. And then, like I keep saying, it'll help you adjust for the next wave. Now, where this becomes super important in this collaboration is that you are sharing what you hear and what you learn across the entire team. I get this all the time from box office or ticketing office managers and professionals that get so much information. They're on the phone all day talking to patrons. They're responding directly to emails, and nobody's ever asking them what they're learning. Don't do that. Ask your box office what they're learning. What questions are they getting? What feedback do they receive? What's coming in? Because marketing and development might be able to proactively manage against some of that. How can we give you that information initially so that that's not what's going to require a call? Share what you learn with each other and formalize it. Make a weekly sharing meeting, a bi-weekly learning meeting. What have we learned from our patrons? Bring in sales reports. Ask your box office to bring in information that they're receiving from individual patrons. Okay, so what are you going to test? What are you going to test in your next campaign? The messaging? You want to do an A/B test in subject lines? Do it. We love that. In your channels? Is email just done? Do your people need to hear from you in another way? Do we need to go to phones first instead of starting with a big print piece? You'll know a little bit based on what you've already said they need. The empathy bit should help inform this strategy and the channels that you would use. So write down your notes. For one segment, what are you going to test? Testing is about knowing if you're successful. So what is it you want to listen to make sure that you've got it right? Okay, quick review here. There are 4 things that sales campaigns must do. There are a lot of things sales campaigns must do. There are 4 things they must do based on our conversation today. They have to consider new segmentation. Build it in. If we just go back to the kind of segmentation you were doing before, you're losing an opportunity to connect with people who've had a different engagement with you. They've got to be rooted in empathy. People need it. People have been through the ringer this year. So let's take a moment to really center that in their experience and make sure we're solving the right problems for them and giving them the right opportunities. Offer a very simple pathway for engagement, online, over the phone, in your forms, whatever you've got, keep it simple. And last, include and formalize a space for testing and learning. Get into that laboratory here enthusiastically and pick a few data points that will help you measure your success. Okay, I told you I was going to do a lot of talking and then you wouldn't have to hear me anymore. So we are moving into that second phase of me not having to do all of the talking. And I want to set you up for that now. We're going to go into small breakout rooms, and these are small. 3 people, maybe 4, will end up in a breakout room together. Chitra has been organizing these as you're all in here. So in theory, you won't be in a breakout room with anyone from your organization. So this is about getting outside of your silos, your organizations, and really talking to peers in a different way. So the first thing that you need to do, you can do this right now as Chitra is finalizing those breakout rooms. I want you to reflect for just a moment. We'll give you a minute before we go into these spaces to think about where there are hurdles on the horizon for your organization to go through a campaign that's structured in this way. Make it fail. Why could this not work for you? And then when you get into your breakout rooms, present that potential hurdle, that something that's going to get in your way to your colleagues and say, help me move it. How do I get around it, through it, over it? Help me solve for this, because this is where my thinking is hinked up and I got to get around it because these 4 things are really critical. So you're each going to get a moment to say, help me, I need advice, and everyone will have an opportunity to share their advice and their perspective. When you're in these breakout groups, if at any point your conversation's done and you want to come back to the main room to talk to Chitra and I and go through questions that you couldn't answer for each other, just come back in. So you can leave at any point, but we're going to give you, how much time are we going to give them, Chitra? 20 minutes? Yeah.
I think 20 sounds good.
Let's do 20 minutes. So you've got real time. You don't have to, get through everything in 90 seconds. You've got 20 minutes to talk through it. You can join us back here if you like. And so you don't have to decide when you get in the room. The person with the nearest birthday will start as the advice asker. So if your birthday's tomorrow, you're on deck to kick off this conversation. Okay, I'm gonna stop my share. Folks, do you have any questions about what you're doing in this breakout room or how we've set this up? Nobody took themselves off mute, maybe because you're really polite. Not likely because I was so infinitely clear that you don't have questions. So do you have questions before you get in this space with your peers that I can address now? Okay, I don't know if I believe you, but I'm really excited for you to have these conversations. Bring back any questions that you have to the big group after this, and we'll tackle them together. So Chitra, when you're ready, I think we can send you all to breakout rooms. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you in 20 minutes. Great. Welcome back. Welcome back. So I hear room 7 was an awesome place to be. I hope others of you also found good, productive spaces to be in. I'm curious right now if anyone has, no, I'm going to be more specific. I was going to be too general, and then it was going to be easy for everyone to stay on mute, and so that's not fair. I would like to know if anyone got a piece of advice from a colleague that really changed their thinking and that you might want to lift up and feature here to say, wow, Crystal helped me solve this problem, and here's the way she helped me think about it. Is there anyone who would want to brag on a new friend or old friend about how they were able to help your thinking? Just take yourselves off mute.
I'll brag on Hillary from American Baroque Opera Company. She, our session had a lot to do with empathy and ease and how to make authentic connections with our patrons. And she suggested making a list of patrons for each board member and contact information, and having the board members reach out on the phone to, the long, to the page, to our subscribers, let's say. And we also acknowledge that there's a lot of back end work to that administratively, but we want to make it easy for the board members, and making that personal connection could make a big difference. So the investment would pay off. So thank you, Hillary.
Thanks for sharing, Elizabeth, and thank you, Hillary, for putting that forward. I think it's so great to be thinking about who all that is connected to our organization can steward relationships with our patrons. And so looking at board members to talk to longtime subscribers, first-year subscribers, wherever you've got maybe vulnerability or opportunity makes really good sense. I also have clients right now, a lot of them orchestras who still were paying musicians, even though they couldn't have live performance in halls together, where they brought musicians in to do some stewardship work, no sales work. But theater companies, rep companies have done it with actors. And it's always for a specific group of people. We're paying artists to do this work. I'm not suggesting you need to pay your board members. Any board members in the room, I'm sorry, but I'm not suggesting you should get paid for that part. But I do think it's a way to engage artists in our community who may need work right now, would be amenable to the work. Don't ask them to get on the phone to sell. That's hard work, as anyone who's ever done it knows. But to get on the phone and call a donor to say thank you, to call someone who engaged in all of your digital performances this last year and say thank you. I'm an actor, I was in this show and you came, and that's all I want to say, is a really awesome touch point. And we've seen organizations have really positive feedback from their patrons about that kind of engagement. So thank you, Hillary and Elizabeth. Who else has something to share? Who gave you good ideas?
I'll go. I want to brag on Tanya Holloway, who was in my group, because so I came with the issue of there's going to be a lot of confusion in the marketplace for our subscribers as to how much credit they have on an account for the past 2 seasons, really, not just for the past season. So as we reach out to them to subscribe into our upcoming season, coming at it less as a, hey, buy into this thing that's coming, and more of a, hey, you already bought this. We're actually able to give you what you spent your money on, and really get their attention with, you have a credit. This is money you've already spent. Let us give you something for that money, because people will feel compelled to redeem whatever the value of what they spent 1 or 2 years ago.
That's great. Rob and Tanya, thank you for that. Assumptive renewals. They already bought the season. It's just much later than it was supposed to be, but they've made the commitment and the investment. So yeah, how do we use this language? I'm working with an organization right now that just today dropped their letter to subscribers saying, you're in, you already have all of this and you still have money left on account. Here are ways that you can use it. And it says, if you want to change this, just call us and we can do it. But it was very assumptive, and those assumptive sort of renewals are going really well. Now be careful where you're assumptive. If you're going back to a first-time subscriber, that one might be worth a phone call because of all of the reasons we know to be true about first-time subscribers. Half of them don't come back anyway. If we're assumptive with them, they might feel like that was presumptive and not feel like they've been well stewarded. But longtime subscribers, you've already got this, and here's what's left. I love that as a tactic coming into it. That's excellent. Thanks for sharing. One more brag about. Does anyone have someone else they would lift up as a good idea share? Formal title, I think, the good idea share. All right. Well, if you're not
I'll say something.
Oh, go for it.
Based on, so I was in a room with Caitlyn actually while you guys were all in your breakout rooms, and we were talking about, I guess it would fall into the segmentation, but thinking about what are some of the benefits in collecting audience information we've received during the pandemic through our virtual performances. And how can we ensure that we get that same kind of data and audience information when we start going into in-person opportunities? Sometimes we have in-person concerts that are, free and open to the public. You just have to be there at the right time, but you're not collecting, people's names, their email addresses, their home addresses. So what are some of the steps that we can take to ensure that we don't miss out on that information when we go back to normal?
Yeah, Greg, we talked about can you bring registrations if you're not regularly collecting patron data? How can you start? People got used to needing to register for things online. So if you've got museum admissions where you're not collecting any patron data, except for people who book in advance, how do you incentivize advanced booking? Do they get better access to something else? Do they get a discount if they book in advance? How do we incentivize the collection of data so that we can keep all of the good that we may have started with digital programming over the last year? We want everyone's data all the time. I mean, we would tell you that is the single most important thing you can do to build relationships is to be able to know who they are. So anything that you're doing, free or paid, spontaneous is harder, but anything that's planned, whether it's free or paid, if you can build structures to collect key patron data points, name, address, email. Phone numbers are a bonus. I mean, take them, phones right now. Folks, I'll tell you this. Our clients are seeing such amazing results by getting on the phone. Everybody's at home. They're ready to talk. So if you've got phone numbers, you can use them. But if you can collect those 3 things for sure, their name, their address, and their email, then you know who they are and you can start to cultivate an intentional relationship with them. Okay, now I want to go to the other side of the coin. What problems did you have, hurdles that you identified that you couldn't solve? We're in a much bigger space now of people that would be happy to help you solve them. So what can't you get past, or what's holding you up?
I'll go. So my organization is facing likely a full season of utilizing venues that are not our own. So we're asking our subscribers and multi-ticket buyers to go with us to multiple new locations that they may or may not have visited in the past.
Yeah, that's hard. So hurdle. Here are things that I know to be true from other organizations who've done this. You're not the first who's had to, when a hall is being restored, rebuilt, something, and you've got to move out of your home. How can you leverage commitment to this nomad season into benefits for the season when you come back home? It's like a stick with us campaign, right? Stick with us now, say yes to these 4 shows all over Dallas in exciting new places where you can meet new friends and have new dinners. I don't know what you'll really say, but something like that. So it's super positive about what this season is. But if you say yes now, here's what you'll get when we go back home. You can save an extra 5% on your subscription. You'll get first choice of seats, free drinks on us for the first show. You'll know what motivates your patrons, but try and get them into a 2-year commitment. It's a weird time to do that. I'm just going to acknowledge that right now. It's sort of a weird time to ask for 2 years. And yet, if they're saying yes to this year, saying yes to the next year isn't very hard. So that might be a way to leverage it, right? Say yes to these things, make a deposit on your next season now to get XYZ, but incentivize it. So that might be, particularly for longstanding subscribers, that might be really appealing.
And I think also it's a tacit 2-year commitment. You're not asking them to buy both seasons at once. You're just saying if you buy it, you get a benefit for the year after.
Yeah.
That's very
to
helpful.
make a deposit. You could do a checkbox on your reply form that says, you know, yes, I'm coming this season, and yes, I'm absolutely coming when you're back home. And then you can remind them of it later. You said yes, you wanted to come back for this, and here we are back at home. So it lets you start to plant that seed of what your communication cycle might be. And then maybe you give them updates along the way. I don't know why you're out of your home, so maybe there aren't any updates, but you get the point. Anybody else have? I just answered that. I didn't even ask if anyone else has ideas. You're all smarter at this than I am. Who else has an idea that they would want to share with Charles about that? Would you? Yeah, thanks, Crystal. Go for it.
The moment you said you're going to 4 different, or I don't know how many, to multiple different locations, I immediately thought of some kind of like a passport, like go on tour with us. I mean, I have kids and they love to like collect stamps at, you know, different stops, to where it's a larger like, oh, go to all 4 and get a discount or something. But I think that could be an exciting way. If you've been at the same location for a long time, it could be interesting to really play up the fact that you're doing something different this year.
I love it. And are there incentives along the way there for single ticket buyers who come to the first venue and then you ask them to follow you across town to the next? Do they get a something when they do it? Do you incentivize it early with a discount? Come to venue number 2 and save 25%. Or do you do it with a reward when they're there? Do you start acknowledging those repeat buyers? Yeah, thank you, Crystal. It's a great idea. Okay, did someone else come off mute, or was that just me?
I had an idea.
Yeah.
This is coming from the kind of empathy perspective, where you have a bunch of patrons who go to the same location for this, it's Theater Theory on the Quadrangle. Everyone is super familiar with all of the restaurants and bars that are around your theater space. So when they go to a new space, they may not be familiar with the geography around the location. So if there's a way to turn the touring experience into a way to communicate about, you know, what are the hot restaurants that are nearby, where can you go for a drink after the show, kind of make that a little bit easier for the patrons to buy into.
That's really smart on the empathy part, because it's true. It's one of the things our patrons love, is that everything's walkable when they're here. They know where they want to get a drink after or dinner before, and doing that research for them in a new location is really smart.
Curating the experience and setting up their expectations for where to park, how to get in. That's true for all of our new patrons. whether you've been in the same venue forever, 65% or more of your audiences are brand new every year. So are you setting up those expectations for them upon their first visit with you for where to eat, where to drink, where to talk, where to park, how to get into your facility? It's a really good universal point there. Folks, thank you so much. Oh, I'm sorry. Does someone else have something to say?
Oh, I was just going to say they could even maybe poll their actors and staff and get their, like actor and staff favorite picks around each theater, and maybe do even like a little video of them going, this is my favorite place or whatever.
I love it. Right? That's total relationship building. I would much rather go to a restaurant that someone directly recommends to me than something that I find on Yelp. I mean, it's great. All right, folks, I want to make sure you've got at least 60 seconds of breathing room before your next Zoom, or maybe you're lucky and we'll be meeting with someone in person. It was a pleasure to share this space with you today. Thank you for all of the generosity you brought back to this conversation, and I hope for all of the good advice you gave each other. Two last things to say, and then I will pass this to Maura. You all have very different businesses and business models and needs and opportunities, and we can't possibly get to all of them in a space like this. So Chitra and I will be hosting regular office hours that are informal, mostly unstructured time that you can register for to come in and ask us really specific questions. It can be about what we've just discussed or how you're moving forward in your campaign. So, free consulting time, come in and talk to us so we can help you move pieces forward. So Maura will send that link out. And then the last thing I would say is that I'm super serious about how much we learn. And we've got 3 more of these things coming. So in the survey that they send you, please do let us know what you liked best, what you didn't like in the format, in the delivery of our session today, so that we can make it better for you in our next go. So that's all from me, ladies and gentlemen, and folks, and everyone, and all of you for being here. Thank you, Maura. I pass it back to you.
Thank you so much to both of you, Caitlyn and Chitra. I really enjoyed it. I love listening to the conversations with you all, reading the funny chats. I'm super sorry that Greg was triggered earlier. If anybody noticed that chat, sorry, Greg. But as they said, we're really excited about the upcoming sessions and our office hours. As you all are working through some of these ideas that were proposed today, we'll make sure to get you a copy of the slides and the recordings. If you need to refer back at any point, you have that at your fingertips. We'll also include the link to register for our office hour sessions that will happen monthly over the next few months. You'll have lots of opportunities to check in with the TRG team and pick their brain and get their counsel. Feedback survey, please do. We really mean it. Caitlyn and Chitra mean it. That we're going to take your feedback to heart and make these as valuable and as helpful as we can to you. And then watch for the registration link for the next session in August. The link to register for all 3 of the remaining sessions are actually all on our website. So if you want to go there, taka-arts.org/resiliency-workshop. Make sure to go there and register, but it'll be in the email too as well. And just thank you for spending this time with us. And we so hope that you enjoy the rest of your afternoons today.